The supreme leader of Iran has warned Donald Trump that Donald Trump should not try that thing that he did to Venezuela, that thing that he will do it in Iran. There have been massive protests in Iran, and the supreme leader of Iran has given an order that anybody seen destroying properties should be sentenced to death, should have maximum sentence. This as protest reaches its highest level in Iran. The supreme leader has accused American President Donald Trump of fueling this protest, this anti-government protest, and they have given strict instructions that anybody destroy property or private property or government property will be sentenced to death or maximum sentence or life in prison. In fact, you may think I'm joking. I will play you this video. But I want the supreme leader Ayatollah should understand, came in should understand that you are one in America. But anyway, what America did in Venezuela, they succeeded. But note that America had tried that in other areas, in other countries, they failed. They failed in Somalia and Mogadishu. They failed in Cuba. It was the same thing that America wanted to do during the Cuban Missile Crisis. America failed woefully. America was unable to arrest Fidel Castro because they wanted to arrest Fidel Castro. They were unable. So it's not new. It's not new that America tried that stunt on Venezuela and this time it succeeded. But in other countries, they have failed. So Iran's supreme leader is saying that because Donald Trump has said if Iranian government kill any protester, America will take the side of protesters. So the protests have intensified. Several people have been killed after Trump's threat, and Iran's supreme leader is telling Donald Trump that there. But you know, Donald Trump is somebody that matches word with action. As you have challenged him, he will reply you. Watch this video.
Now, the protests continue to simmer in Iran. The demonstrations, which began with the traders marching against economic hardships, have now snowballed into a blanket anger against the ruling dispensation. And according to reports that are now coming in, this is according to some NGOs and human rights organizations that are outside of Iran, about 62 people have apparently died so far in the protests. On Thursday, thousands came out for another night of protest in Tehran. Chants of death to the dictator filled the air. A similar scene also unfolded in the northern Iranian Gorgan city, where the demonstrators shouted similar slogans into the night. In Isfahan in central Iran, a building of Iran's state broadcaster was set on fire by certain miscreants. So as protests continue to simmer, online live metrics show that Iran is now in the midst of a nationwide blackout. In contrast, there are also now some pro-government rallies that are taking place, with many Iranians coming out in support of the leadership in Tehran, in support of the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, chanting slogans and also marching in his support across cities in Iran. Now, the images of these gatherings and rallies have also emerged from places such as Arbadil, Khorramabad, Arak and Sari. Now, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has for the second time addressed the demonstrators and also the vandalism and incidents of arson that have unfolded in the country since last night. In his latest comments, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has lashed out at the United States for its interference and provocations. He's also taken a swipe at Donald Trump and has told Donald Trump to try and manage the affairs of his own country rather than to meddle into the internal affairs of Iran.
یه مش تخریبگر آمدن ساختمان متعلق به کشور خودشون رو خراب کردن. مثلا فرض کنید فلان ساختمان دیواری رو خراب کردن برای که دل رئیس جمهور آمریکا خوش بیاد. او اگه میتونه کشور خودش رو اداره کنه، تو کشور خودش حوادث گوناگونی وجود داره.
Now, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei further added that Donald Trump's hands are, quote-unquote, stained with the blood of more than 1,000 Iranian people. And he's also predicted that Donald Trump, in fact, will be overthrown by his own people, like the last Shah of the Pahlavi dynasty was during the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Now, these comments appear to have a more targeted tone towards Washington as compared to the Supreme Leader's last remarks that he made on the 3rd of January. Back then, Khamenei had acknowledged the legitimacy of the protest but warned against rioting and arson, and instead asked the protesters to have a dialogue.
اعتراض بجاست، اما اعتراض غیر از اغتشاش است. ما با معترض حرف میزنیم، باید حرف بزنن مسئولین با معترض، اما با اغتشاشگر حرف زدن فایده ای نداره. اغتشاشگر رو باید به جای خودش نشاند.
The protests first began in Iran's capital on the 28th of December last year, with depleting currency value and cost of living crisis as the main flashpoints. But the uproar has taken a bit of a political turn. Within days, clashes took place across cities between the police and the demonstrators. Then, following a public call by the ousted Shah of Iran's son, Reza Pahlavi, thousands in fact stepped out in different cities across Iran and called for an end to the Iranian regime. Now, in his latest message, Reza Shah Pahlavi, who is living in exile in Potomac in the United States of America, has again asked the Iranian people to come out onto the streets tonight as well. So as tensions continue to flare, the Iranian government's proposed monthly allowance is scheduled to come into effect on Saturday, the 10th of January. This allowance is of $7 worth in local currency for the next 4 months, which the authorities have proposed to alleviate the economic pressure. So far, the announcement 4 days ago has done very little to curb the anger on the streets. And the question is, will its implementation and money in the banks for the Iranians be enough? And we earlier spoke with Mr. Nadir Hashmi, who is a professor of West Asia and Islamic politics. He spoke to us about what this protest is really about and why it has intensified across the country.